I am here to tell my story as an Asian creative and to add to the Asian representation narrative. And only when I realized these things, I was finally able to push through the discomfort and really face my fears head on. Hello and welcome. My name is Hedona, electropop artist, music producer, and your inspirational gal pal. Today, I wanted to talk to you about a topic that I think is super important: finding your purpose and understanding your why. I'm going to talk about how you can find your purpose if you haven't found it already, how I found mine, and how it's actually helped me in the last 4 years in my pursuit of music. Understanding your why will really help empower you, and it'll wake you up from any unconscious programming. You'll be able to start dissecting if what you are doing is actually fulfilling you and if it's aligned with your life purpose. And if it's not, now you know, and you can take the steps to creating a new future for yourself. So, why this topic? Why am I even talking about it? I think this is such an important topic because once you understand why you're on this earth and when you've aligned yourself with your purpose, you'll be so much happier, you'll be more fulfilled, and life will be so much easier. It took me 34 years to understand why I came to this earth, and before that, I was constantly thinking, is this it? I was working in advertising and I was pretty miserable. And I kept thinking, is this all I'm meant to do? Obviously, it wasn't, and I was completely off my path. That's why I was so unhappy. I had gone to school, I graduated with a degree that I couldn't actually use, and then I kind of just fell into advertising. And because I was decent at it, it got very comfortable. I was making decent money. But again, I just wasn't happy or fulfilled. So I would say to you, think about your purpose as your North Star. It's really the beacon of light that you can see in all the darkness when you want to give up. Your why gives you the courage and the motivation to really push you when times are really challenging. And honestly, it really helped me in the last 4 years getting to this point now. Without a real clear understanding of your purpose or your why, you will find any excuse to give up because it's too difficult, it's too challenging, you're afraid. And without a clear understanding of your purpose, you may actually be doing things out of alignment. And when you're doing things out of external validation versus internal validation, you're actually on the wrong path. Your why will always allow you to do things from a place of alignment and trust and knowing. And when things come from a place of trust, things will inevitably fall into place. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but at least when you understand your purpose or when you're living in alignment, you'll have more courage to do things when things get difficult. I also believe that when people are living in their purpose, they always have a more positive impact on the earth. And it doesn't have to be a huge impact, but at least it'll be positive. So, what is my experience with all of this? Like I've mentioned before, I've been producing for 4 years now. And if I did not have a very, very clear understanding of my purpose, I would have given up for the nth time. I have given up so many times on trying to produce. I tried doing it in my 20s and it just fizzled out because there was so much fear. There was a lot of excuses of why I should give up. So at the time, I had no idea that I had this crippling fear of failure. And so I barely let myself start before I gave up because I thought I didn't want to suck. And I feel like so many of us do that. But just know that it's always fear that makes us want to give up instead of pushing through. And that's why your why and your purpose are so pivotal in these moments. And it's so easy to think that you don't have the talent, and so it's just easier to give up. That's exactly what I did in my 20s. So if that's you, I completely understand. And it wasn't until my 30s where I finally understood that I am here to inspire people who never believed in themselves growing up through my music. And B, I want to be part of the Asian representation conversation. And only when I realized these things, I was finally able to push through the discomfort and really face my fears head on. A spark was finally lit when it never ever existed before that. And so that's why I think this is so important. It's because understanding your why will give you the courage to say, I'm gonna do this no matter what, even if I fall flat on my face. It's going to give you that extra push you need, because every time you're doing something for a larger purpose, it propels you forward every single time. But just remember that growth is not always linear. There were so many times where I took so many steps backwards after going forwards. It's just that our subconscious mind is very strong sometimes, and we will go backwards before we can move forwards. And I will be very honest with you, the first 2.5 years of producing were physically, emotionally, spiritually draining for me. It was not fun. It was really difficult for me because I hated sucking at the beginning. I I place a lot of value on being competent at something, and being incompetent at the beginning was really frustrating, to say the least. And that comes from my upbringing. If I wasn't immediately good at something, I would just blow it off as being stupid, and I would just stop doing it. And there was no encouragement to do things for fun. Fun was seen as something frivolous. So there was always a purpose to doing something, and that has stayed with me for a very long time. So I've had to unlearn that to be able to move forward. It's still difficult for me to have fun. I'm learning how to do that as an adult. And also remember, at this time, I wasn't just learning production, I was learning songwriting, arrangement, music theory, and I was still working on singing at the same time. So it was very overwhelming. It was very tiring. It was a lot. It was a lot. I had to work through a lot of ego and really work hard at shedding my identity as a working professional. I think that took me a long time because I had been working for over 8 to 10 years by then. So that was really ingrained in me, being someone that earns a steady paycheck. So to have to pivot and change your identity is also something that was really difficult for me at the beginning. There were lots of roadblocks and challenges, and honestly, there were times where I really lost sight of why I was doing any of this at all. But thankfully, I had a really great support system. One of my friends, she would always remind me of why I was doing it when I would actually completely forget. So that was very helpful for me. It's easy to lose sight of things when you're so in the weeds. So make sure you have a really great support system who will keep pushing you forward in a really positive way. I am here to tell my story as an Asian creative and to add to the Asian representation narrative so we can get even more stories out there, because we need all of the stories we can get. That is my purpose. It's why I do everything that I do, even though it is really terrifying sometimes. And I constantly have to keep reminding myself of this when times get really tough and when I have a lot of fear around doing something. When you finally understand your why, even the most challenging things won't matter as much anymore in the grand scheme of things, because you know you're here for a bigger purpose. If you have not found out your purpose yet, don't worry. Here are 4 questions you can ask yourself to get started. 1. What values are most important to you? 2. What kind of impact or legacy would you want to leave behind? 3. What are you passionate about? What can you talk about for the rest of your life every single day? And 4, is there anything you would sacrifice yourself for? So for number 1, I would start with writing down your top 5 values. What is the most important to you? Is it money? Is it security? Is it health? Is it freedom? Is it stability? Is it family? So of that list, determine what is your number 1 value. For me, my top value is freedom. Any sort of freedom. Physical freedom, expressive freedom, creative freedom, financial freedom. So for physical freedom, I know that ever since I was little, I wanted the freedom to do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. But obviously, growing up in an immigrant Chinese household, that was pretty much out of the question. And that was really difficult for me. It wasn't like I wanted to do anything crazy, but I think my family thought it was crazy, like wanting to go on the biggest roller coasters when I was 4 or 5, maybe 7 or 8. But I mean, all of my family was too afraid to go on them. And I was like, what is wrong with you people? So that's one form of physical freedom that I wanted, which is really silly. But yeah, I just wanted to do whatever I wanted without being told no. So another aspect of freedom is financial freedom. And to me, financial freedom isn't about slaving all day at a job in order to make money. Financial freedom to me allows me to do what it is that I am passionate about. So I think it's very different from just making money to make money. It's about being able to do whatever it is that I want. So for creative freedom, learning how to produce has allowed me to make my own creative choices in all of my songs. My music is very different from the mainstream, and I believe that if I can't make music that is truly authentic to me, I might as well just go back to advertising. So creative freedom is very, very important to me. So figure out what your true values are, assess them, and see what is number 1 for you. I think that's going to really help you understand what it is you need in order to feel really fulfilled. Number 2 of the list is to figure out what kind of legacy or impact you want to leave behind. And it could be as small as raising your children and taking care of your family, to helping your community, or reaching people beyond your network. Whatever it is, though, just make sure that you are having a positive impact with the people that you are interacting with. If I can inspire even one person to pursue their dreams, I've done my job, and I think that this will all be worth it if I even reach one person. Number 3, what are you really passionate about? And what is something that you just cannot shut up about? Get really curious on what that is and why, and really hone in on it. I'll be honest, I don't think that music is something that I can't shut up about, but it's something that has always been with me my entire life. And I've always used it as a way to lose myself. It's a way where I can be the person that I really want to be. And that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's not that I can't shut up about it, but it's always there for me. So number 4, on a grander scale, is there something that you would sacrifice yourself for? And I don't mean in a super morbid kind of way. It's actually the complete opposite. What this means to me is that you're working towards something that is higher than yourself. It's bigger than yourself. And your purpose is much deeper than chasing external validation or money or power or fame or status. It's something internal to you that you want to be fighting for. So after you've answered those questions, these are some other things that you may want to look at to really understand your purpose further. So one is looking up the Japanese concept of ikigai. Iki means to live and gai means reason. So together, that would mean your purpose. There are lots of resources that you can look up online, so I'm not gonna bore you with that, but honestly, feel free to look it up. It seems like a really great system to learn and see if that would help you get closer to your purpose. And this is where we're gonna start to get woo-woo. I really like looking to astrology. Ever since I was little, I've always been fascinated with astrology, trying to understand myself more. So I would really encourage you to look up your own astrology. It's not just about your sun sign. I think there are 16 or 17 different signs that you have. So you have your sun and your moon, and then all the planets, and then some other ones, and they all live in different houses under different planets. So it gets really, really complicated. It's pretty much a science, I would say. So when it comes to astrology, I really like using two apps. The one that I use the most probably is called The Pattern, and then there's another one called Time Passages. So the pattern allows me to understand my tendencies based off of my planets when I was born. And then with Time Passages, it goes into each of your signs and the houses to tell you what that all means. And then it'll also go into the aspects. And so it's just really fascinating to be able to dive really deep into your astrology. So this is my natal chart. It is very complicated. It has all these weird things going on. And so obviously I have no idea how to read this. So that's why I use these two apps a lot to help decipher it. For me, the description of my Virgo rising in the Pattern app actually really gives a good description of my why. And it says that as a Virgo rising, I am meant to find my sacred work. So I'm just going to read you some lines of what my Pattern app tells me. I obviously don't have it memorized, so I'm just going to read it from here. So find your sacred work. Your destiny is to find and devote yourself to a sacred calling. You're learning to follow your own code and pursue values that aren't based off wealth, fame, or status. Don't sacrifice your integrity. The process of doing something you feel born to do must become the priority and focus of your life. And then as you read on, so you can go deeper into what that all means. And one of the things that really sticks out to me is this page where it says, for you to feel truly authentic, aligned, and content with yourself, it's imperative that you find a calling that feels sacred to you, where money and prestige are irrelevant. The process of doing something you feel born to do must become the priority and focus of your life. It's what will make you feel the most alive and fulfilled. And when you are feeling alive and fulfilled, obviously that's because you're in alignment, you are pursuing your purpose, and that is when you light up. So I think this is pretty good, right? It's pretty helpful. And I think the part that speaks the loudest to me is the part that says that I'm supposed to make my life focus as something that I was born to do. I would say that is pretty accurate and a pretty good foundation of figuring out my purpose. So that specifically did not tell me what my purpose is, but one of my patterns talking about my work, and the world says that I'm supposed to engage my senses. This is represented through my midheaven in Taurus. I don't know what the midheaven is, but that's okay. That's why we have these apps. And it says that I am meant to engage my senses and that I'm meant to feel good in what I do. I am guided by what I can hear, taste, smell, see, and touch. My ideal career should please my senses and allow me to become immersed in the moment. Because of this, I might find myself drawn to professions linked to the arts or aesthetics. Hello, that is exactly me. So continuing on, when I do find success, I won't be truly happy unless I'm doing it for the right reasons. So I think that this also corroborates what my Virgo rising has been saying, and that whatever I do has to feel authentic to me. I will never thrive if I take a job to please other people, or if I feel like I have to do it, or if I have to take it. So, that sums me up very, very nicely. So those are a couple ways that astrology can help you find your why or your purpose. To me, astrology is a great way for me to understand myself and my tendencies more. But I also understand that I am not beholden to my natal chart or my astrology. There's always, always free will and an ability to change. So another woo-woo tool that you can use is human design. If you don't know what human design is, it's a system that blends astrology, the I Ching, quantum physics, Kabbalah, and the chakras all together. Like astrology, it takes your birth date and your time and your location to map out your genetic design. To me, human design helps you understand how to move through the world with less resistance. According to Goop, which is always the source of truth, human design shows you where and how to access your body's consciousness as a decision-making tool, and ultimately how to live as your true self. Human design offers a map or a manual that indicates how you are unique as a person and guides you in living in a manner that is in sync with who you are. When we live in alignment with our true nature, we begin to experience a level of comfort and acceptance for who we are instead of chasing who we are not. And we're able to live out our real purpose in the world. So this is my chart, and it looks very insane and complicated. When I first saw my chart, I was so confused because there's so much going on. But Google is your friend. I'm going to skip over the main aspects of the human design chart because there are so many resources you can Google or listen to. I'm just going to focus on two properties in this video. They are the profile and the incarnation cross. I am a 3-5 profile, and I have a right angle cross of explanation. And there are some numbers, 449 and 2343. So when I Google what these mean, I get a lot of insight into what they mean and how it impacts me as an individual. I get a lot of insight into my tendencies, my challenges, my strengths, and how I'm supposed to move in the world. So I find all of this very empowering and very insightful. So with the 3-5 profile, when I read up on it, I see this profile as an experimenter who seeks to learn things through experience. And after they learn all of these lessons, they're able to share these insights and knowledge with the world. I am definitely one of those people who are constantly told not to do things, but I still do it anyway, because I have to learn firsthand through experience. That is represented through my 3 line, and the energy of a 3 takes on the martyr. The 5, on the other hand, is the heretic, and I actually had to Google what that word means, but looking it up, I can see that it means a non-conformer, which 100% I am. So when these 3 and 5 energies combine, it leads to a person who learns through experience and has the ability to influence people in a meaningful way. And I think that's what this channel is all about. My experience and my journeys and my failures, and using my story to try to influence people in a positive way. Something else that was said about people with the 3-5 profile is they can excel in dynamic environments, offer practical wisdom to others, and navigate crises with grace and skill. They can also influence others positively and bring about changes in their environments. There is obviously way more to these profiles than what I'm saying, but I don't want this video to be 18 hours long. But you can see how human design and reading up on my profile already supports what my why is: to influence others positively and affect change, which is pretty cool. And then there is the right angle cross of explanation. I had no idea what that meant before, but when I Googled it, I found on ahumandesign.com this explanation. People with the right angle cross are on a personal journey, learning about themselves and navigating the world based on their unique design. By living out their authentic design, they inadvertently inspire others to embark on their own journey of self-discovery. When one individual aligns with their personal destiny, they unknowingly give permission to others to do the same, creating a cascade of authenticity in the world around them. I mean, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Challenges for them might arise when they feel pressure to conform or live according to someone's expectations. Hello. Yes. Again, my Virgo rising, according to the pattern, also said the same thing. So ever since I was little, I hated conformity. I don't like the idea of it. I just want to be myself. And this is saying exactly that. So then when you add in the numbers for this right angle cross of explanation, the 449 and whatever those other numbers are, it means that I am meant to express my unique, albeit uncommon, thoughts and ideas to the world. And I had to Reddit this as well. Reddit is a great resource, I am finding. I don't use it much, but I love using it as a research tool. Anyway, Electric Lady had this to say. This incarnation cross is all about sharing your unique insights with the world. Your hypotheses, theories, and ideas go against typically what is considered common or right. And that's exactly what you are here for, to share what most of us probably don't think of, so that we can see different perspectives. Your insights are meant to shift the trajectory of the collective. You're not here to convince anyone of anything. You're here to share your unique wisdom. And if you haven't listened to my music before, it's different from the norm. And I think that really goes with what this incarnation cross is all about. My ideas are different and they could be considered weird, but I'm not here to change myself. I'm here to express myself 100,000% authentically. And that is exactly what my music is all about. Another woo-woo thing that also corroborates this incarnation cross, I got my chakras read and I learned that I am a dominant second chakra. So your second chakra lives in the reproductive area of your body, and obviously women, their wombs are there. And with the second chakra, it's all about creation and bringing new ideas out into the world. So as a dominant second chakra, that means I'm here to bring new ideas through creation and expression. Apparently, I'm able to see things before other people know about it, which is exactly what that incarnation cross with all those numbers said as well. My ideas are not the norm, and people think it's weird and it's uncommon, but that's exactly what I am meant to do. So it's really interesting to see how all these systems kind of tie together and actually say very similar things to one another. So if you are having trouble figuring out your purpose or your why, I think using astrology and human design as tools are very viable options. So, to summarize, once again, ask yourself these 4 questions to start off with. What values are most important to you? What kind of impact or legacy do you want to leave behind? What are you passionate about? Is there something you would sacrifice yourself for? You can also look into Ikigai, astrology, and human design as tools to help you out. Okay, so I hope something out of this video was somewhat helpful to you. I'm super curious to know if you've already found your purpose out yet. If not, did any of these tools or the questions I asked help you out at all? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.